This video is not the first and it won't be the last to explain to you why experimental evidence makes you smarter than your textbooks and your teachers and artificial intelligence. What you will get from AI on how to do soil quality is shown right here. You get the layers and that gives you the percentages. And you see that everywhere else as well, that's how you're meant to work out what sort of soil you've got. So you take the layers, divide them up in percentages, use this table, and you get the type of soil that you have. But it is not correct, and I'll show you experimentally why that's true, because the lower layers will still contain material from the top layers. And so the clay goes right through the entire lot, and actually the lower layers are large and have large spaces, and the clay layers are not, so that is also a volume thing as well. So I'll demonstrate this from what I know is very clay soil. So I dug up this to create a garden. I know there's a solid clay layer that's not very deep underneath, and the soil itself is very clayey. So I'm taking soil from here, what look like happy plants, and I'm labeling like good soil. And then this one, you can tell it's waterlogged because they don't look dried out, and they're also droopy, so they look wet and droopy. So I'm calling this bad soil, and you can even when I put it in, it's quite sticky, and so I know that this is a very clayey soil. So I give this all a thorough mix and shake it, and then mix it again and shake it. And my dog is making sure I do everything correctly, watching everything I do and put his nose too close to everything. All right. And at first I didn't really notice the sand silt layer. And so it also took about 6 hours for the clay layer to form. And after a day it looks the same. And I'm not waiting for 3 months or 100 days for it to clear up. There's not really much more change. Some people say it takes 2 hours, but I think it took a bit longer than that. And so in my impatience and lack of trust, I tested it. So I got a pasture pipette and inserted it into the middle of the layers, and it sucked up little tiny bits, and then used a microscope to see what is in each layer, to see whether they really are clay, silt and sand. The clay layer is quite clean, you can see here, and there's just particles that are less than 0.002 millimeters. And there's a video that I just put out then that shows you how to work out the size of the particles. And then you can see quite clearly in the silt layer, which has slightly larger particles, it's absolutely chockers of clay, probably more than the silt. And there's a few particles of sand lying around. Okay, so the simple calculation of layers and percentages needs to take into account that the lower layers have all of the small particles too. So what I did, doing this correctly, by the way, does place the soils. At the moment with these calculations, I'm getting sandy loams, and then when I correct it, it does give me the clay loams, which is what it is more likely. It's definitely clay, not sandy. So if you take up each layer and add it up into an accumulated sum, and then you divide each layer by this. And so as a side, so I did get the correct numbers after that. And so that's how you should do it to get a more accurate, to use that graph to get the accurate soil. All right, so just remember, AI can't do experiments, so you're always going to be smarter than AI. And as long as AI remains a language-based model, it's not going to be able to do this. If they develop a mathematical-based model, then we could be in trouble, and maybe it's done that in secret already. Who knows?